everybody. I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Data Dudes. In this episode, my name is Nan Din, and this is James Tuxbury. Welcome, James.
Hello.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about the release of the, what are the problems and what's wrong with the send to Amazon process. James, tell us about why are we talking about this send to Amazon process in the SPA endpoint at this time?
There's a few different ways that we got here, basically, but basically the idea is we're Amazon sellers, and we've had a lot of issues with the send to Amazon process, and specifically providing box content information to that process. Here as sellers. And then the important thing is that Amazon released their new API to be able to do this through SPAPI now. So that was the big catalyst to get the ball rolling with this, is access to this new API here.
So on March 28th, they released the new API for us to be able to edit the box content in the backend through the API, where previously we could not do that through the SPA API. We could do it through the old version, right? The MWS API.
Yes, there were two separate entities at that point. Basically, you could do it through MWS API, or you could do it through the front end sent to Amazon system. But those two systems were exclusive of each other. So if you started a shipment through MWS, you could make it into a sent to Amazon shipment, but you could not go back the other way.
Yeah. So just make sure nobody gets left behind. The MWS API was the API Amazon released in 2009 for sellers to get data from Amazon or to build shipment. And then 2022, they released the SP API, which is the selling partner API, which is more modern. But they didn't release the SPA, a way to build shipment, inbound shipments on the SP API. And so we were at the e-commerce side of the business, A Power Equipment. We didn't want to build a shipment builder process based on the old API and MWS API because we knew that it was going to get deprecated or like they're not going to support it anymore, and we're going to have to migrate. So we waited a year. That was back in 2022. So we've been waiting for this SP API release, this new version for about a year and a half or almost 2 years now, right?
Yep.
So previously, like if you wanted to build a shipment, what did you have to do?
In Like I was saying before, in the old system, you either had to build it through MWS, or
Entirely
you can do it
MWS?
through. Yes, you either had to completely build it through MWS, and you could not edit it through the front end whatsoever, or you could start it through MWS and then go into send to Amazon but as soon as you open it and view a shipment in send to Amazon, it would pull it into that new system, and you could not. That shipment is now a send to Amazon shipment, and there was no way to go backwards.
Yeah.
Once you pull it into this new system, then you were stuck here doing it through the front end. There was no other way to interact with this.
So just so everybody is aware of what send to Amazon is. So let's say you want to send 500 wheels into Amazon, lawnmower wheels into Amazon. You have to go through the send to Amazon process, or do it through the API. Build out the way to connect to the API entirely. But this is the send to Amazon process here. Basically, you tell what you want to send, how many SKUs, which SKUs, how many units, and then you provide the box content. You confirm shipping, and then you print box label, and then confirm carrier, get pallet, and then there's tracking details of that. That's basically the overview of the send to Amazon process, right? So what has our experience been working with the send to Amazon process? What's wrong with it?
Yeah, so we've definitely run into our fair share of issues and road bumps here along the way with the system. So I guess one place to look at here is when the user is trying to scan in all their contents into the boxes, we only can have one person working on it at a time.
Right.
That is a major issue that we've run into of, we have a bunch of people on the floor and then it comes time to do the box content and then one person has to sit there and do the box content for that particular shipment and run it by themselves because other people can't collaborate and work on the same shipment at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Let's go through all the steps and kind of walk people through this send to Amazon process, so people know what
Okay.
some of the problems and challenges we face. So this first
Mm-hmm.
step is you can enter the content, like you look up their SKUs, you enter the quantity,
Mm-hmm.
how many to send. So I've previously done that. In the interest of time here, I added 3 SKUs with those particular quantities into this sent to Amazon. They call it this workflow. So this is the workflow here. And then once you provide the step 1, confirm inventory to send, like what do you want to send, right? And then you can print your fun SKU label on here, and you can click that button and it'll print it here. But the next step is, this is the step that's the most painful, right?
Yes.
So Amazon wants to know what exactly is in each box that you have, and why did they make you provide box content? And what was their rationale for making us provide box content?
Well, essentially, they don't want to open the boxes. Is what it comes down to, and have to count how many units of each individual, uh, you know, product is in the box. So what this does is we provide the box content, and that allows Amazon to know what's in each box ahead of time, so that they can, route the stuff to wherever it needs to go.
So what you're saying is, like, let's say you send to the Chattanooga warehouse.
Hmm.
Amazon doesn't want to open the box right there to find out that they need to send it to Los Angeles or to Chicago. They want to be able to scan the box, know exactly what's content in there. Then if the final destination is Chicago, they'll just send that box to the Chicago without opening it, and that's their purpose,
Yes.
right? So they want to speed up the process of receiving and stuff. So the old way they didn't charge you for it, but now they added a fee where you can add this. You can pay and not have to provide box content, right? So,
Yes, but per unit fee.
yes, that's right. So let's see what the per unit fee is. So currently, what is the per unit fee that they're charging?
So as you can see here, it depends on the time of year, whether it's Q4 essentially. Obviously, Amazon around Q4 gets a quite spike in traffic, so the fees go up in that time of year. So at the time of this recording, obviously we're in the January to October area, so we are only paying 50 cents per unit. But
15 cents per unit.
yes, 15 cents per unit. But once we hit Q4, that doubles up to 30.
Yeah. So Amazon is charging you if you don't provide box content, in essence. So let's go through each step. So this is step 1B, where you provide box content. There's a couple of ways to do it. You can do it through the web form, which looks like this, where you enter the information here, and then you enter the box content and the quantity here. That's one way to do it, and it does provide you with warnings, or if there's error, it provides you with that. So the good side is, like, it lets you enter it on the web, but the downside is it only allows 10 boxes max, right? So if you're a large seller with 30 boxes, you can't use the web form here, right?
Correct.
So another way that you can allow box content is the Excel upload here. So this is the Excel upload, which is similar to the web form, where you provide it tells you all the SKUs, and then you have to provide which box is in, how many in each box, and then the content of that. Imagine this being like 200 SKUs long. Then you got to find which box and then write it correctly and save it, and then you upload it into that form. You download the file and then you upload it through this. So we already talked about paying the fee and not have to provide box content. The third is to use, or the next one is to use 2D barcodes. So it looks something like this. How does it work, James? A quick overview of how it works.
Right. So what we're talking about here is that bottom barcode you see
This
here.
barcode
That's a
here,
2D
right, at
barcode.
the
Yep.
bottom.
So basically what this is it would basically have a similar thing to what you were just seeing with the in that spreadsheet form or something
Yeah,
like that. But the data for the boxes is actually just encoded into that barcode so that Amazon can scan it and get the box content out that way. So you still
so
have to provide the same information ahead of time. It's just that this information that you're seeing here is just codified into that, essentially codified into that barcode.
I see. So basically, you take all this information of the 20, let's say 20 boxes, and then
Hmm.
you encode it into this 2D barcode. And there's a limitation to how much information because of the data size, right? That you can provide in here.
One minor distinction there is that the sticker is per box, so you're not putting all the boxes into one of these stickers.
Yeah,
Each box gets its own
I
sticker,
see.
so the content in there is just the content of that box. You can see in this particular example that says box 4 at the bottom there.
Yeah,
It also tells us what warehouse it's going to, IND forward, and there's some basic information. But yeah, the stuff in that scannable in that barcode right there is just the stuff for box 4 of whatever that
I
shipment
see.
is.
So basically, Amazon scans this and knows exactly which box it is and what's in that content before they even open the box through this
Correct.
2D barcode. Okay. So that's a way to do it, and then the last way is through scan and pack, which at AA Power Equipment, our e-commerce business, we couldn't use the web form because of our size, and the file upload was clunky, so we used the scan and pack process. So walk through me the scan and pack process here, James.
So basically, this is another similar way of providing the information, but what you're seeing here is these are individual boxes. You can see Amazon here calls this thing P1B1. That just stands for Pack Group 1, Box 1, essentially. And then right next to it is the weight and dimensions of that particular box. And then once you provide that information, you can actually go into each individual box and start scanning in, okay, this box has this much of this SKU, this much of this SKU, this
Yep,
much of this SKU, and
like this.
so on and so forth until you are done with all
All the
your
boxes.
information.
So just so you know, like this particular shipment, Amazon only split it into one pack group, but you can have two, three, or multiple pack groups like that.
Hmm.
So what's wrong with scan and pack? This is where most of our problem ran into, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so what, like if there's something wrong, like if you made an error and you can't change it, what happens?
So yeah, there's definitely a few different situations that come up here, but the one issue is once you're on the screen, if you end up leaving and coming back, you a lot of times end up getting whatever you were working on dumped, and you have to essentially start over. It's just gone.
So if you like
Uh,
scan two items and then you just accidentally close this and to look at something else and you go back, all your, like let's say you scan 10 boxes and all your information is gone.
that can happen. We've definitely seen that happen several times. That it's just gone, and then they have to start over, and they just have to go back to scanning, basically.
Oh, that's crazy.
Hmm.
And then like another thing that I think that we learn is like if there's something wrong with the workflow, like if you go down to you get all the box content, you go back and confirm shipping, but it was like you chose. We most of the time we choose LTL, which is palletized, where it's cost less. But sometimes Amazon changes it to a UPS box, or you accidentally choose UPS box. What happens in that case?
Yeah, so that case is very problematic for us. We have definitely seen that happen where we wanted to send that LTL, but it ends up, for one reason or another, ending up as UPS boxes, which, number one, if you actually were to go through with that shipment, can make the shipment way more expensive. Obviously, think about,
Right.
sending off a pallet of
You're
individual boxes.
you're talking about like $200-300 for 50 boxes versus like $1,000. That's the
Yeah,
difference, right?
it can definitely break out like that for sure. So that's obviously not desirable. But once you have made it to to that step, if you realize that you made a mistake or whatever, for whatever reason it's not correct, you can no longer just go back and undo that. Once you're past that step,
Once
the
you buy the
oh
shipping, once you
yes,
confirm the shipping.
the only way to kind of fix that if there is an issue is to void the shipping and essentially start from scratch.
So
You
starting
have
a
to
new
complete.
workflow,
You,
every step of the way, starting over again through the scan and pack and all that stuff.
yes, which is obviously super time consuming. Uh,
And we've had
which
that happen. Like we've had a problem where like uh, something went wrong and 10 people had to start over the shipment over, and like they have to open all the boxes and start over, and it costs us like 4 hours extra for 10 people. So that's a major problem.
yes,
What about the problem that of errors? Like what happens when Amazon throws an error?
yeah.
What have you
So
seen?
on this screen right here, you can see you have some warnings at the bottom. That's pretty typical. Especially in this case, we've just kind of used placeholder values for an example, so not
So
everything is
let's
exactly perfect. Uh, so, so yeah, so in this case, you can see none has simulated an error here. That box is too big. They only allow up to 25 inches on any side. So in this particular case, this error is rather easy to resolve because obviously it was most likely just a typo, and you just come in here and fix it, and it's no big deal. But we have seen plenty of examples of if something's wrong with an individual SKU that's in this pack group.
like
Uh,
one of these SKUs being not the correct quantity. Like this
Exactly.
is like 9 or something.
Amazon will tell you that your quantity doesn't line up, but they
Just
won't
like that.
always tell you right. Which in this case, it's pretty simple. You have one pack group, and everything's in the one pack group. But especially when it gets to the point where you have multiple pack groups and the same units on multiple different pack groups, all your quantity is not going to be in one box here. So you when you're looking at one box, you don't know how much you have of the total.
Yeah.
So it becomes a nightmare of trying to figure out
Which
if
box
Amazon
is
says,
from?
"Hey, you're short." It becomes a nightmare trying to figure out where am I short. They don't reliably tell you what SKU is the issue. They just tell you your quantity is short. They don't actually reliably tell you which SKU is the problem with. So now you're just looking for a needle in a haystack, trying to figure out where the issue is. And it's extremely time consuming to the point where you may have to start ripping boxes back open just to figure out where something's missing.
Yeah. So, and we've had that happen too. All these pain points we've experienced. That's why we're able to tell you about it. Our team has definitely experienced that. What about like if you have a big team? Like how many people can work on this scan and pack at once?
And yeah, that is one of the big time eaters for us is that only one person can be inputting stuff into the scan and pack at a given time for a given pack group or for a given workflow. So does you could have 10 people ready to go. Once you get to this step, when the packing's done, it just completely bottlenecks down to one person sitting here scanning and providing the box content information, and it's extremely time consuming.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be able to work more than one person at once. That's the other problem, right?
Yes, for sure.
And we've also seen so basically the problem we ran into is like when you run into bottleneck like that, a lot of people get paid just to stand around and just we're just wasting money at that point. And then we already talked about where like if you choose the wrong pack group, where like we chose an LTL, but Amazon you accidentally chose UPS. But there are some times where Amazon forces it to be a UPS box, and that creates problem too, right?
Yes. We've definitely had situations where the user, put in, I want LTL, and then when they go to the next step, all the shipments show as UPS. And at that point, like we mentioned before, once you get past that step, there's no going back. So you have to avoid it, start over, and that sinks several hours for potentially, 10 people,
Yep.
which is yeah, very problematic.
And the other problem we had is like if let's say all the boxes are the same and like you have the same content in the box, there's no way to bulk add that information here. Like okay, I want 10 boxes with this exact same setup. You don't. There's no easy way to enter that. You have to enter one by one at a time, and the content one by one at a time through the scan and pack, right?
Yes, correct. Through this system here to the front end, you cannot provide multiple boxes at
So
the
I
same time.
think like the problem we're seeing is like this is a problem, but if you have like 3 SKUs, then it's not a major problem. It's livable with it, right? So it seems like this system was built to just handle a few SKUs at a time. But if you have, like us, over 200-300 SKUs at a time in each shipment and with thousands of quantities, like this is very inefficient. All right, and then once you buy shipping, let's go to the confirm and continue. You can go to the next step. All right, so I skipped the part where it was loading. It took a few seconds there. But in this case, sometimes you can choose the different options for whether to send to one location, multiple location, and pay the what do you call that? Inbound placement fees.
Placement fee. Yeah.
Or in this case, it just split into one shipment. But you can choose small parcel or less than truckload, and then once you choose that, I'm not going to click here because then see, as you can see, because it didn't split up here, you can see the placement fee cost here. It's $965 for the placement fee because it's only sending to one location, where the shipping cost is actually only $106. So if it gave us option here that like you'd have to play the difference between placement fee and shipping fees to see which is the most efficient cost as far as shipping things in. So I won't click confirm shipping, but I'll go to another shipment where we already bought the shipping here. And as you can see, some of them are parcel, one of them are LTL, and then you can, like that's where you get to the confirm carrier and pallet information. You enter that information, and then you get to the print label and it prints pallet or boxes, depending on which each box has to have its own, if it's UPS, or each pallet has to have its own information. And then you can track that information here in the final steps of the send to Amazon. So that's basically an overview of the workflow of the send to Amazon. This is quite a bit, took us a little bit of time to explain through all this, but in future episodes we'll talk about how we have built what's called the FBA Shipment Builder that allows us to solve some of those problems that we experience in this send to Amazon process. All right, see you next time.